Hi, this is David Britt again with a tutorial on how to use the eBooks in the MSOM course program. So the first thing you should do, go over here under Course Home and look for eBook. When you click on eBook, it's going to open up in a separate window. And so while that is opening, I'm going to resize that window so it'll be easier to see in this presentation. So the first thing that you'll notice in a lot of our courses, you don't have to buy outside textbooks. Now you do in some of them, and that's fine. But what we decided to do is to embed many of these into electronic books, so you don't have to pay additional, $100, $200, $300 for additional books. The other thing that you'll notice is that, for example, this is MSOM 601, Problem Solving and Critical Thinking. When I designed this course, I didn't have just one textbook in mind. I actually had 13 books in mind. And so before you have a heart attack, you're not going to have to read 13 books. But what you will do, you will read bits and pieces of 13 books as we apply the learning. I found that as my background's in corporate business, and so I rarely, if ever, made the statement, gee, I wished I had my college textbook with me because it would help me solve the problems that I'm facing today. But what I did do is I would go to multiple sources, and by many of today's key thought leaders, read some of the different books, some of the different contexts that they had, and used many different sources to help solve problems. And so that's what we're doing here. So what I wanted to do is to take you through a little bit of how to use this ebook, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you. So the first thing that you'll notice whenever you log into any of the ebooks in the core courses here is you'll see that there is one big name here. This happens to be Foundations of Problem-Based Thinking. But what this actually is one book that contains 13 books. And I'm going to explain how that works in just a minute. So if you look over here on the left, you see these little yellow folders. Each one of the folders that are listed here represents a different book. So the first book you see here is Now You're Thinking, Change Your Thinking, Revolutionize Your Career, Transform Your Life. The second one is Critical Thinking, Tools for Taking Charge of Your Personal and Professional Life. And so as you scroll down, you will see the 13 books that we use in this course. Now this ebook is really kind of cool in a lot of functional areas. So what I want to do is to walk you through some of the navigation here. So let's go to this first book. And so you see this little right-facing black triangle here on the first book, Now You're Thinking. If you click on that, what's going to happen is it's going to open up each one of the individual chapters in that book. And so let's go down here to Chapter 2, just for an example. It says Chapter 2, A New Way of Thinking. I click on that, and what you're seeing right now is this is way too big for the computer screen that I'm using. So let's begin to talk a little bit about the functionality of the ebook. So if you go across the top navigation section here, the way that you would forward and go back in these books is you have the previous page, then you have the next page. So if I do that, it forwards to the next page. You see the page number here, which is page 60. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But then over to the right of that gives you the opportunity to look at this from a two-page view perspective. So you click on that and it begins to look much more like a regular book that you're reading. Now that still is a little bit big for the view screen that I'm using. So if I go over here to the percentage and I click on this to the right of the percentage, I can click on that drop down and it gives me the ability to resize the way that book reads. And again, it just depends on the browser that you're looking at, but that gives you the opportunity to resize it so that it makes it a whole lot easier to read in the platform that you're looking at. Now the other couple of really cool things here, I'm not sure if you're a highlighter or not, if you like to highlight things while you're reading, but if you look up here, there is actually a highlighting tool that you can click on, take down into the text, and highlight. Now if you want to get rid of that highlighting, you can see there's a little X up here where you can click on that and mark out of it. Now the cool thing about this is, since you are unique as a user of this, if you highlight something in this text, the next time that you come into this ebook, it's still going to be highlighted. Now that goes whether you log in with your home computer and then log in later with your work computer, Since you're again using a unique login password into the courses, this will stay with you. So that's really kind of cool. To the right of that is a note tool, or I like just a yellow thumbtack. And you may be one of those people who like to write in the margins of your book. I do that sometimes as well. And so you can take that thumbtack and click it anywhere in the text, and it opens up some place where you can go ahead and type in all kinds of information. The way that I find this useful is, let's say that I know that in discussion board coming up that I have to find some material to support that discussion board. So this gives you the opportunity to say, hey, this is a good source to use for the upcoming discussion board, so you can save that thumbtack. Now the other great thing about this as well is if you click this right drop down arrow to the right of this, it gives you the opportunity to open up a notes manager, which will show you all of the different notes that you've made throughout the book if you search from different pages. So you don't have to go back and say, okay, what page was it that I made that comment on? It'll actually show you here, so you can go find it again very quickly. So some of the key functionality of the ebook, I would encourage you as you look at this to just do what I call get dirty in the book. And so just get in the ebook, mess around, make some mistakes, because over if you don't have a concentration in the MSOM program and you have all 12 courses here, you're going to be utilizing these ebooks quite a bit. So I would just encourage you to get incredibly comfortable with that. So if you wanted to go back to the other screen, you can go back here and click on single page view, and voila, all of the books are still listed in here. Now here is something, please pay attention to this, because some students miss this all the time. Because there are 13 books included in one big book, if you will, the second book down here, Critical Thinking, Tools for Taking Charge of Your Professional and Personal Life, you'll notice up here before the page number there's a prefix, and it's a prefix, so it's A-I. That is real important. So if you're doing a search, let's say in the reading section, remember I gave you the reading pages under each lesson, and it'll say go to page 59 or go to page 60 or something like that. If you were looking for that in this book, you have to make sure that you use the prefix. And the reason being is because if you have 13 books, in all likelihood you're going to have 13 page 13. So we had to separate them by A's in that one, B's in that one, C's in that book. So just make sure as you're typing these in that you type in the prefix dash and then the page number as you're looking for those, and hopefully that'll help save some hassle and frustration on that. So these ebooks are really, really kind of fun. The functionality again up here with the highlighting tool and the thumbtack is really kind of cool as well. So I'd encourage you to get used to managing those that way. Again, some of these books are full books, but for example in The Truth About Making Smart Decisions, we actually start on page 95 of that book. So we don't have the entire book there. I only developed part of that book into this course. So again, if you're looking for, let's say for example that in your readings it said go to page 95 of The Truth About Making Smart Decisions, if you didn't happen to be on that book, you could type in B-95, and click on that and it'll take you directly here. To give you an example, on this book, let's say I wanted you to go to page 25 of this critical thinking book. You type in A-25, hit enter, and there it takes you to page 25 of that book. So again, I know I'm repeating this a lot, but this is one of the issues that I found with a lot of students, is sometimes they forget to put the prefix in there and they get lost in the reading. So just make sure that you do that. The other key thing in the about the ebooks, make sure under the reading portion of these, so I'm going to back out of this for a second. Let's go into lesson 2 readings. When it says critical thinking tools for taking charge of your professional and personal life, again, that's the name of the book. I only want you to read pages 143 to 156. Make sure you write those down before you go to the ebook, because I've found that if you don't write those down, students will get finished with page 156 and they may continue reading. And so, if it's a big 300-page book, by the time you get to page 199, you're saying bad words about me, and I don't necessarily want that to happen. So again, I just encourage you in the eBooks to make sure that you spend some time in there, mess around with it a bit, and obviously, if you have any questions about those, make sure you give me a call.